All right. Well, my name is Peter Smith. I am the NSO student director this year, and this is a webinar for the College Advising Center. Thank you so much for coming. If you miss out on anything or want to see it again, this event will be recorded and posted later, but enjoy this panelist, and I'll let Katie take it away.
Thanks, Peter. You want to share screen? So welcome. I'm Katie McFadden. I'm the director at the College Advising Center. I'm going to lead us through this webinar, Liberal Arts and Academic Offerings. We are recording it, as Peter said, and we'll post the video on the NSO website. I'm joined today by two colleagues in the CAC, Katie Lemon and Catherine Leibel. If you have questions throughout the presentation, you should feel free to type them in the Q&A box, and they're going to help answer questions throughout. We're also going to have a lot of time at the end to answer questions as well. So it's really a time for you to, ask what's on your mind and have us help out. Next slide. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the advising model of Lewis and Clark and how we fit into it. So go to the next one. You kind of click through as you ready to talk. Each of you is assigned a CAC advisor, which is one of us, and we stay matched with you all the way through your time here. And we're the ones emailing you this summer about course planning. Will remain an advising resource for you in coming years. And feel free to come see us, especially to make a 4-year plan, kind of compare big picture academic options, maybe just get a second opinion. Although one of us is assigned to you, we're not super picky about who you come see. So if you come during the year and someone else is on drop-in or something, no big deal. That's no problem. You're free to see any of us. And then you're also, you're assigned transfer students. You've already been assigned a faculty advisor, and you're going to work with them this summer. If you're a first-year student, you will be assigned a faculty advisor later this summer. This person is kind of your primary advising contact who you meet with at orientation and each semester before registration. You're going to talk about class options and academic planning. In the next slide, once you declare your major, the faculty advisor is swapped out and replaced by a faculty member in the major department that you declare. So this is the advising model. I like it. I'm a fan. I think it's really designed to give you multiple points of contact and multiple people to, tap for resources and ideas and support. And so that's advising. And now I think we'll shift a little bit to the liberal arts. Next slide. So what's it mean to study at the Liberal Arts College? I hope we don't have to convince you of this too much, since you all chose Lewis and Clark and you're coming, but you've made a great decision. You've likely heard this before, but studying the liberal arts provides you a really valuable set of skills. And the idea is that we are providing you skills that you can transfer to any career path in your future. Things like critical thinking, writing, speaking, and in a changing world and a changing economy, this is by design. Because our idea is we're giving you the kind of skills that you can, they're kind of invaluable for whatever you do next. And because we're preparing you for that broad range of postgraduate paths, grad school, workforce, combination of both, you won't often find faculty or advisors talking about majors as if they are equating them to one particular field. And I want to acknowledge that might be different than the college where your friends are attending, or the kind of college maybe if your parents or a family member attended. There are colleges where the major is designed to be very linear into a specific career path. But at a liberal arts college, it's not as A to B as that. I think that throws people off a little bit sometimes when they wonder about it. So I just thought it would be very transparent and talk and say that that is by design. That is not as linear as that. So next slide. And the reason it's not as linear, it's just a little more complex than your major equals a specific job. And it's even more complex than the opposite. I mean, sometimes students then hear that and think, okay, so you're saying my major has nothing to do with my, post-graduation path? It's like, well, no, the answer's somewhere in the middle. What you go on to do after Lewis and Clark will be impacted by your major, but it's also impacted by all kinds of other opportunities and connections and experiences you will have in the coming years. Next slide. So for example, extracurricular things you do, internships, campus jobs you have, or off-campus jobs you have, hobbies, classes, research, especially working with faculty, especially at a small college. The idea is all those connections are going to inform you know, what you do after Lewis and Clark and what kind of direction you go into. So the major is one part. There's so many other things that factor in. You don't need to have all this sorted out right now. We certainly wouldn't expect you to have it sorted out this summer. And we have so many resources of people, offices, and various things to help you sort it out in the coming semesters. The next slide. So there are people and resources to help you sort that out. There is also time and space, which is really what this slide is designed to help enforce. So you need 128 credits to graduate, and you'll spend about a third of that on general education, and you'll spend about a third of that on your major. And as you can see, that leaves this whole piece of the pie, like a whole third of the pie is for electives. Yes, this is where you could fit in, you know, a second major or a minor or something, but I think it's even more common that students at Lewis and Clark use that space to just explore, go overseas, take advantage of other classes, but not necessarily major and minor and something else. So it really is also by design. We're building that space in. And so when we talk about classes for the coming term, sometimes students will get a little nervous, like, oh, what's this count for? Or what am I taking this class for? And I remind them, you know, remember, a whole third of that pie is elective, you do whatever you wish. And it's part of the whole picture. Next slide, maybe click twice so we can get to the general education one. Yeah. The general education part of that pie, so we'll zoom into that just a little bit. That refers to a set of requirements designed to help students explore the breadth of the Lewis and Clark curriculum. So how you satisfy each of those gen ed pieces really depends on your own interests. You might fulfill some of them naturally just by doing your major. And I do find, one thing I wanted to mention is I find students a lot of times assume they're supposed to do all the general education as soon as possible. Sometimes the rumors out there, you're supposed to do it all in the first 2 years. That's not true. If you're incoming first year, especially, it's not true. And it's wise to make continued progress in meeting general requirements, but there's no need for you to feel rushed or that you have to do all of it at once. You have time to fulfill it. And I think a lot of times people are surprised that they fill categories without even really intending to. They just take a course for interest and come in and meet with me and advising them like, oh, did you know that fulfilled this? So some of it you'll get done without even trying to. Next slide. The first year seminar for class. So this is the slide just for first years. As transfer students, this is waived for transfer students. If you're a first year student, the first year seminar of core requirement is the only general education course that is required in the first year. These are small seminars just designed to help you develop writing, reading, and analytical skills. And first year students, you've already been assigned words or numbers, one of them for fall. And whatever one you don't take, you'll take it. Okay, next slide. So let's spend just a couple minutes, you know, talking about, well, then how should you go about thinking about a major, or thinking about the path of choosing a major and working on that in the coming year. And as I mentioned earlier, don't get too stuck on the idea that by picking a major, you're picking a career for the rest of your life. You're not. We have a lot of people in programs to help you figure out how the major connects to what comes later. And the thing you try first might not be the major you end up with. And again, that's okay. So remember, you have that whole piece of the pie that's electives. So that's really normal. We build that space in for you to explore and try things. And the ideal major, I would say, is something that you're interested in a department where you feel at home and with faculty who you enjoy. Well, that's a great transition. And for a lot of you, that could be one of several different majors. You know, so you can also let go of the idea that there's one perfect major for you. A lot of students really end up kind of deciding between good fit and honestly another good fit. Which one they pick, you have a great experience either way. If you're a transfer student, depending on the number of semesters you're coming in with, or number of semesters you have left to graduate, you might need to go about choosing a major and committing to it a little earlier. But there's likely still some room to explore. So if you're concerned about that, you talk to an advisor. And if you're a first year student, the goal for fall, honestly, is just to try a few things in areas of interest. So you can start to evaluate, you know, what do I think about studying this at the college level? Is this a good fit for me? And just think about that. What's your goal for that? Next slide. So we're going to walk through just a sample first year schedule. So keeping in mind the room for exploration, the general education requirements, and while you want to do them, but there's not a huge rush. Here's a sample schedule. Yep. So you're in words or numbers already if you're a first year student. And that means in early August, when there's registration, you're going to go about picking a few more classes. So I would recommend picking, one or two couple classes to try out possible majors. Maybe one class for a major and one class for gen ed, like a language, world language class, common one you could take. And then the fourth class, honestly, just take something for fun. And by that, I mean a course that maybe you never got to try in high school, something you've always wanted to do, just a class that kind of piques your interest. And you're not necessarily trying to fill another box with it. You're just like, this sounds really great. That's a great combination and variety there for a schedule. Next slide. And so most classes are 4 credits. Some lab sciences are 5 credits. So we recommend choosing 4 of them, and that will give you a total schedule of about 16 to 18 credits. There's a couple 1-credit things you might have in there, like a PE or music performance if you're going down the music path. But in general, you're shooting for about 16 to 18 credits. So that keeps you on track to get to 120. That is our big picture, just kind of going over liberal arts and what the goal is for fall and kind of big picture stuff. And at this point, we usually open it up for questions and honestly just kind of let people ask us what's on their mind. We'll answer it in Q&A. While you think of those questions, I don't know, Peter, I usually bug Peter. Peter, what was your path? What did you pick coming in the door? What did you take? What do you remember of those first courses you chose?
Well, for my incoming fall year, I chose, I had my words and numbers. I had space time with Paul Allen. And then I was interested in history and English coming in. So I took a history class, my first semester, and an English class my second semester. And then I was a little curious if I wanted to do any sciences. So I just knocked out calc on the off chance I wanted to pursue the sciences. And then for my third class, I took, I took another history class. I took 2 history classes because I was just trying to see how I felt about history as a degree, which I ended up pursuing. So.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Yeah. How'd that all go then? So you went the history path.
It went really good. And I also had the experience of, I didn't know about the music classes. So I came to campus after registering and I was recommended by Heather Miner to pursue the music classes. And it was a great choice and I'm really glad I did it. And it feels very definite when you're choosing classes, but there's wiggle room. So it's always good to know that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and be reassured of that. So we have a question I think we can answer live, and maybe you can really help us answer that, Peter, which is, what would you recommend for first year so they could connect with clubs or other groups?
I would say for me, really go to all the activities fair, which will be at the end of the first week, and sign up for any club you're interested in at all. And you can always get out of the mailing list, but it's good to dip your toe as much as you can, I think, your first year to connect with the people and the groups that you connect with the most.
Would you say it's a little bit similar to academics where there's a lot of things you might try initially and then kind of edit your list to the ones that most, right?
Yeah, because you'll find out that you might have signed up for something that you don't want to actually do, and that's always okay to have happen.
Well, and I remember talking to a first year who talked about how stressed they were. And when I asked them questions, it kind of came clear, they had signed up and were trying to participate in 17 clubs. So this is a little too much too.
Yeah, I think you can always cast your net wide. You can't and shorten it. It's hard to do the other way.
Yeah. Someone's asking, how do we change our major and what's the timeline for that? So keep in mind that if For all of you, actually, even transfer students, I know we might have asked at various points what you're interested in majoring in, but nobody's declared it. You might have stated to admissions or our office what you're interested in trying. Nobody's officially declared. So with that in mind, you know, that's also why you have time and space to kind of try things out, you know, declare later. First year students, we don't ask you to declare until you've earned 45 credits, which is a little ways off, even if you're bringing in some dual enrollment credit. So you have time to kind of like what Peter was saying, like try some classes in the thing you think you might want to major in, but you're not going to be asked to go on record and declare until later. And even when you do that, you have time afterwards to change your mind, which isn't that uncommon. Somebody will declare major and then switch or add something else later. Someone's asking how likely it is you are to be placed in a class you sign up for. So, and their, you know, their sibling goes to a bigger school and it can kind of fight to get into classes they want. It's a great question. We'll talk a little bit more about that at our next webinar in a couple of weeks. We're going to have another one that's more about the nuts and bolts of using WebAdvisor and registration and all this. I'll be talking to you too. Want to do a little plug for our legal webinar. It really depends on the subject in the class. I think depending on what you're interested in, it may be that the class is still complete. It may be that it's not as stressful. I'd almost tell you to make an appointment with us sometime in July and just talk it through. Because there's also some strategy involved where August 1st, you register for one top priority class, and August 3rd, you register for the rest of your credits. So I think it's helpful often to talk with your CAC advisor and talk about what you're hoping to register for. And we may have insight into like, oh gosh, if you want that class, make that your August 1st priority class because it fills faster. So I welcome you to email us and ask about that. We can get further advice. I don't know, Peter, do you have more to say about that? Like trying to get in certain classes?
The best advice I received was from my professor from my first year freshman year, Elliot Young. He was like, if you are on the wait list, go to the class because it's not like the likelihood if you care about your topic, the professor's happy to have someone there who cares and they'll usually put you in. I mean, I think it varies. I haven't taken a ton of STEM classes and I know those can be kind of hard to get into, but I think for humanities or languages or anything like that, I feel like just come and talk to your professors. They're not that scary.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So on registration, if something is full on a registration day, you should waitlist yourself for it right away. And the professor maintains that wait list going into the first week of school. So you want to waitlist yourself. And then like Peter said, go the first day. If people drop or there's changes, you know, you're there and you haven't missed any material because you're at talks. So, so a little bit of what I call light persistence can be really helpful. Yeah. You can also talk with us about how often classes come around. I will sometimes have students really stressed they didn't get to a certain class and they have the idea that it's too late or this is really bad. And actually I can give some context from like, you know, they offer this class every term. It's okay. Let's talk about how you can prioritize it for next. And someone's asking, are we able to see what classes are available for fall semester in advance? And if we can, are they released already? When will they be released? And yes, you could actually go on WebAdvisor already and see the classes for fall. Go to, oh gosh, Judy or Catherine, maybe you can help me take this answer. But you go to WebAdvisor and let's see if I can share our. We have some short videos on our website that show you how to do this in WebAdvisor. I don't necessarily think, maybe just because I'm a visual person, it's a little easier than giving written instructions. But the idea of the videos is they just walk you through how to go look at those classes and how to get them set up in your shopping cart. Again, that's a little more of what we're doing in the next webinar, but it's great if people got started working with it. I'm gonna end, yeah. we can do it. Any required classes that can be avoided with high AP scores? Yes. Gonna go find the list. Put it there so you can see it. So, for anyone else interested in this, you see now in the Q&A. I linked to the advanced standing page, and the advanced standing page walks you through which scores in AP or IB equate to credit at Lewis and Clark. The first part is showing you, not only does it equate to credit, towards 120 to graduate, it equates to a particular class. If you're exempt from that class. There's also a group of scores where it doesn't equate to a particular class at Lewis and Clark, but you still get credit, numeric credit towards graduation, which is helpful. So if you have AP scores on this page I linked to, you should 100% send the scores from AP board or IB to Lewis and Clark, because the credit can be really helpful. Even if it's not counting for a particular class, it's really helpful to have just that numeric credit. Yeah, it's cool. Well, there's no open questions right now. Maybe we can wait a couple minutes and see if anyone else types some. I'm trying to think if there's anything really quick and easy to walk through in the meantime. Oh, yes, the question like, where do I see on the portal if Lewis and Clark has received my AP scores? I'm not sure, honestly, if you see it on the portal or not. Katie or Catherine, do it easy, you know.
I don't know if you can see it on the portal, but through WebAdvisor would
Yeah.
probably be the easiest way. So if you log yourself into WebAdvisor and head to the students menu, there will be a page called test summary, and that should take you into our self-service center. But you'll see there if any of your AP or IB scores have come through, they'll be listed there. So just keep an eye on that throughout the summer. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us.
The maximum number of units you can get from AP, well, AP or the IB combined is 32. Someone's asking about the recording of the meeting. You'll have it, you'll post it, Peter, on the NSO site, yeah?
Yeah, the website where you, if you go to NSO and find family parent webinars, this will be under there. It will be uploaded tomorrow. Same goes for any webinar, basically. They're posted after they're done. There's a few exceptions, but yeah.
Yeah, so it'll go right here. Well, someone's asking about registration on August. So as soon as it opens, you have to register right then. You just want to type.
Oh, sorry, I can take it if you want, but it cut out for a second. I was just gonna say, so do you have to register on August 1st? Yes, all the times will be in Pacific Standard Time, so you will want to do that math ahead of time. It might be a little early, depending on where you are in the world. Registering as close to when your registration time becomes available is going to give you the best chance of getting into classes. So if you've ever gone out and bought yourself concert tickets, I will sometimes equate it to that, in that if you want to have the best shot of getting those seats, this time around being the seats in your classes, yeah, you want to be there right when your time opens. So I know it will seem early, but if there's classes that you're really feeling excited about and want the best chance of getting into them, you'll want to register as soon as you can. That being said, registration will stay open until I believe 4 p.m. on the day of round 1. So, you know, if something happens, or, you know, you have to go in a little bit later to register, you can do that up until 4 p.m. Pacific time. And then after round 2, registration will remain open, I believe, right after round 2. Yeah. So you will have a little bit of time after that to adjust your schedule if you need to, but try and get registered for all of your classes if you can, as soon as your time's open. And feel free to, you know, reach out to us if things don't quite go as planned on registration day, or you need to make changes later on. We can absolutely help with that.
Someone's asking, oh yeah, I keep hearing answering. What's that really a start time for round 1? I don't know what it's talking about. It's morning.
I think during the summer, it's gonna be 10 a.m.
So
is when
too.
we usually do it. So they'll go in half an hour rounds,
Mhm.
I think from 10 to 12 or 10 to 11:30. I will wrap up by 12. But it will stay open until midnight, I think, right?
Yeah, pretty late. And if you have an early start time on August 1st, you have a later start time on August 3rd, and vice versa. You know,
Right.
it's randomized.
During this, yeah.
Mhm.
During the school year, it will be nice and early, starting at 7 a.m. But you'll
Yeah.
all be here, so no time zone changes.
Yeah, that's true. These are all great questions. I was kind of waiting to see if any others come in. Okay, I'm not seeing any. If someone comes up with something, as soon as the webinar ends, and they're like, oh shoot, I need to ask advising, you email any of us directly, because I'm sure one of us has been in touch. Or you can email the main office line. I just put that in your chat. Anything else, Peter?
The one thing I saw a question come in about auditioning for classes that need auditions.
Mhm.
And I was just gonna say, sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes there will be auditions where everyone tries out for that class. I'm assuming you're talking about a music class. In those instances, I would really recommend emailing the director of that to find out when like the big group audition is, because they often have that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not before the start of school, right?
Yeah, I think like I only know really jazz band, and jazz band is like a week and a half after the first day of class.
Yeah, so. Okay, let's see here. So we'll probably be done, except one last question came in. About taking placements and like where do people do that? So links and instructions are on the episode checklist. I'm leaving the first year list, but if I'm a student athlete, oh yep, Katie's answering it, and I'll just say it out loud. You can type in Katie. I'm a student athlete. Will that count to my student PE? Yes, if you're a varsity athlete, you just need to remember to register for the 1 credit that goes with your sport. Every once in a while, I have a varsity athlete who forgets to register for the credit. You actually need to do that. There's a one.
And and don't forget, like some of the sports are, split season or spring. So if you're a spring athlete, you won't do anything until spring registration.
Yeah, which is a good opportunity to say and remind people they're only choosing in August their fall semester classes. 'Cause I know for some folks, their high school is set up differently or it just kind of throws them off. So you won't register for spring classes until November. Oh, the last question here, Peter, I think that's probably for you. It's like ordering from a catalog, but that's a little outside of advising.
To which catalog is this, the
I'm gonna
catalog?
do The general catalog, like you ordered something online.
Oh, yeah, I think if you're talking about the catalog that's like stuff to get delivered to the dorm, those will be, I'm pretty sure most of those will be delivered to the dorms before you come. Like if you ordered like a fridge and a microwave, I'm fairly certain that they will be delivered to you at your dorm and you will not be required to come pick up your fridge and wheel it across campus. So.
Okay, I'm gonna put in the chat your checklist too, just so everybody can make sure they have it, and the transfer one too. Those odds are, all the questions are in there, certainly with what to do and how to get there and what's the link. Okay. Well, I think we can end there, and if people have other questions, feel free to contact us or contact you, Peter, at what, NSO@L Clark?
Yeah, you can contact us at NSO at I just saw the last question.
Peter, what classes to avoid?
I'm not gonna, I think every class has value in it in some way. It can teach you organizing and working with authority figures. I think you should avoid any classes that you are not, is like some general education requirements might not be your thing, but find like one that you think fits you the best. I'd say avoid taking anything that is not necessary that you off the bat are not wild about, because you're just not going to have a good experience in it. And that's just unfortunate. So try and find something, even if it's not in a field that's super up your alley, do it. Like I took an art class this year just because I was looking for something. I was like, this seems like a lovely thing I would love. So that's my best recommendation.
Yeah, that's similar to what I was gonna say, which is like, I would kind of go with your gut. And the first week of college, sometimes it's hard to separate that from just the reaction of like adapting to a totally new place. But I do often talk with students who are having a bad experience in the class, and they'll tell me like, I really felt the first week or the first couple of days, it was not the class for me, and I stuck with it anyway. So I would say like, trust yourself, and your barometer on that will get more and more fine tuned as you go along. But if you're really feeling it or not feeling it the first couple of days, that's a great example of what you should talk to us about in the College Advising Center, and like we can troubleshoot and see what we can.
Someone asked about the words and numbers placement. I know Katie already answered it. So yes, whichever you don't take in the fall, you'll take in the spring. You'll go through the whole preference selection process all over again when we go through registration for the spring semester. And you now have your core placement. So if you want to start testing the waters with WebAdvisor, you can go in, you can, use some of the videos that we have provided to you to show you how to, go into WebAdvisor and look at your schedule, and you can see which class you're placed into. So now you can start building your other courses around that, or you will a little bit closer to as the month of July goes on, but that's there available now if you wanted to take a peek.
Oh, someone's asking about. When do you do the preference form for spring? November, October?
Yeah, it's usually in October, I think, late October. Mid to late October.
Well, thanks, everybody. Peter, can we close this out?
Yeah, thank you for coming. If you have any other webinars or questions, I recommend going to the website, or you can email any of us. And yeah, just if there's any other webinars that look interesting, feel free to join them, and we look forward to interacting and meeting you. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.